The cornerstone for Sykes Hall was placed on January 19th, 1904, marking the start of its construction in the spot that was previously the entrance to John C. Calhoun's plantation, Fort Hill. It was designed by a man named Rudolph E. Lee to resemble the Library of Congress building and was originally called Agriculture Hall because it was the university's agricultural administration building. This building was named after the 8th Clemson president, Enoch Walter Sykes, when it was renamed. Sykes Hall had a massive fire in 1924. It was repaired and remodeled into a library in 1927. It served as Clemson's primary library until 1966, when Cooper Library had finished construction and it replaced it in its role as the university's primary library. In 1972, Sykes Hall was changed into the main administrative building for Clemson University because the previous administrative building, Tillman, was not large enough for all the needed administrative offices. Sykes was also a gymnasium and museum before its change. Since then, it has remained an administrative building housing the offices for admissions, bursar, registrar, the vice president, and the president. The Sykes sit-in started on April 13th, 2016. It was a peaceful protest that occurred in front of Sykes Hall. It happened after a monument that honors African American history at Fort Hill was vandalized with racist iconography. The students who participated were able to stay the first night, but the students who became known as the Clemson Five were arrested on the second night for being in the building after hours. This protest was related to the See the Stripes campaign, which is a program that supports the renaming of buildings on campus, tries to promote racial equality on campus, and promotes the telling of Clemson's, at times, racist history. The group posted their demands in the See the Stripes website. The Associate Vice President, Dean of Students, Dr. Chris Miller, expressed that the demands were meaningful, impactful, thoughtful, and relevant, and that they should take them forward with the future of Clemson.
Clemson University was birthed from dark beginnings, built on the plantation of former Vice President John C. Calhoun, which was called Fort Hill. When the land was passed to his son-in-law, Thomas Green Clemson, he donated the land to the state of South Carolina to found our home, Clemson University. Some of the current buildings at the university carry with them controversial names of the school's dark past, and many of its students are unaware of these beginnings. Tillman Hall is arguably the most notable building at Clemson University. Originally named Main Building after its construction in 1893, the three-story tall brick building was intended to be the centerpiece of the new public college that was founded at the time by Thomas Green Clemson. What many students attending the university do not understand, however, is that the building was constructed through the labor of convicts after the plantation on which the building was put up was given to the state. Focusing more on the notable events of the building's actual construction, a fire broke out on the third floor of the building on May 22, 1894. The original architects returned to make repairs after all that was left was just a brick exoskeleton. Reconstruction was completed in 1895, and it included several classrooms, the first school library, and a chapel. In 1946, the Board of Trustees approved the building to be renamed in memory of Benjamin Ryan Tillman, the former governor of South Carolina and senator of the United States. In 1963, Clemson integrated its students, and Tillman Hall was the location where Harvey Gantt, Clemson's first admitted African American student, attended the college. Since the 60s, Tillman Hall has served as the university's school of education, but a fair amount of controversy has risen in recent history regarding its name. The reason why there is so much controversy surrounding the name of the building is because Benjamin Tillman did not have honorable ideals in the eyes of many today. Most well known for his time as a politician, serving as South Carolina's governor from 1890 to 1894, and the United States Senator from 1895 until he drew his final breath in 1918. The reason why many feel uncomfortable about Tillman Hall having the name it does is because Tillman was a white supremacist who was against civil rights for African Americans. He publicly ridiculed blacks in his speeches and was a proponent of lynching. Tillman acquired his name Pitchfork Ben because of his violent language, and more specifically, he threatened to use a pitchfork to prod that, quote, bag of beef, President Grover Cleveland. He gave up his hopes of becoming president because he became known for his aggressive attitude especially towards Black Americans.
Tillman Hall has been the center of controversy in recent years. In 2015, students and faculty called for the change of Tillman Hall's name back to Old Main after the influential video See the Stripes was published by a Clemson graduate student, which started the See the Stripes campaign across campus. Tillman Hall's name was not changed, however, with a statement from one of Clemson's Board of Trustees member David Wilkins. Every great institution is built by imperfect craftsmen. Stone by stone, they add to the foundation so that over many, many generations we get a variety of stones. And so it is with Clemson. Some of our historical stones are rough and even unpleasant to look at, but they are ours, and denying them as part of our history does not make them any less so. For that reason, we will not change the name of our historical buildings. Part of knowledge is to know and understand history so you learn from it. Clemson is a strong, diverse university in which all of us can be proud. That is today's and tomorrow's reality, and that is where all our energy is focused. To that end, the board recognizes there is more work to be done. Even though the name was not changed, Clemson began increasing minority enrollment and staff diversity, as well as calling for a change in campus culture to be more inclusive. Tillman Hall has also been subject to two different vandalisms. In 2016, the front entrance of Tillman was spray-painted with "Stop Honoring Tillman" and renamed Tillman Hall. In a statement from Chief Public Affairs Officer Kathy Sams, quote, "We understand that there are strong opinions about Tillman, but vandalism of a historic property is a crime and we have to treat it as such. We hope that this incident doesn't take away from the positive work that is being done to better document and tell the full history of Clemson University." Earlier that year, it was spray-painted with "Tillman was a violent racist" and "Rip Senator Pinckney." Pinckney was one of the 9 victims of a race-related shooting at a church in Charleston, who was also a pastor and a member of the South Carolina State House of Representatives.
Tillman was not the only name change controversy. Some students believe that Calhoun Honors College should take the Calhoun out of the name. John C. Calhoun was an ardent believer in white supremacy, as stated on Clemson's own website. Also, Calhoun owned 70 to 80 slaves on Fort Hill and was a defender of slavery, saying that wage slaves during the Industrial Revolution were treated worse than African American slaves. Due to Calhoun's defending of slavery, many students believe that his name glorifies the racial view at our college and takes away from the school's acceptance of diversity. Students and alumni have started a petition to remove Calhoun's name from the Honors College and have over 200 signatures to support it. A similar act happened at Yale, and they successfully removed Calhoun's name from their college, but Clemson doesn't seem to have made much progress. Although students believe the name should be changed, there are some that argue that if the Honors College name was changed, then we would also have to change Clemson's name, because Thomas Green Clemson also owned slaves. Also, these students note that John C. Calhoun had other accomplishments other than just owning slaves and defending them, such as being the Secretary of War, Vice President, and a Senator of the United States.